officially known as Mr. Mitree Manik, author, visionary of the organic African paradigm. The organic African paradigm is not new to most of the people that have been in the group, and people have already heard about this vision. And yes, but they found that the initiator, the creator, the visionary of this organic African paradigm is sitting right here with us to give us just an overview of all what the organic African paradigm is all about. This big vision that has been given to our brother ever since he was a kid, and he's been working on it. And now the whole thing is just adding up in this time and space where it is the time for Africa's liberation or restoration, as all of us can see. Yeah, so all the pieces of the puzzle is fitting in right now. And today we're going to be talking about establishing the psychological foundation of Africans globally. Good evening, Brother Manik.
Good evening to you, and
Yes. How are you doing out there today? I always like to start with the weather because I've been touched by the weather these days in Germany. It's very hot and heat, and a lot of people going through some kind of dehydration, which have also was attacked. And thank God I'm recovering from it. How the temperatures out there? Where are you actually in
I'm
you?
in Minneapolis. Today is the weather is good. The day is about 60 to 70 degrees, so yeah, it's a good day.
All right. What is the situation of COVID out there? I heard that, the second wave is gradually creeping in, and businesses that were already open or maybe could be shutting down again.
Um, there is a increase. They've been saying that there is an increase. We've been hearing that about it, but so far the businesses are opening. They're trying to ease people back into businesses. Um, you know, it's like there's not much clarity on what's happening with the situation because there's people are still allowed to do more and more. They're gradually putting people back into work. So that's as far as it goes for now.
Okay. Currently in Germany, I mean, things were beginning to get normal on the obligation of putting up a facial mask, and there's no way you can go or get into a shop without having your mask on. And recently, even the borders to European countries were open, but 2 days ago it was shut again because of the fear of the second wave of the pandemic that could creep in, and the figures are beginning to rise again, which is causing a lot of slowdown. And events that actually eventually would have been taking place this year are completely shut down. And the situation critics are saying, could escalate in some kind of like, another kind of a social distancing that people would be mandatory to observe. But anyway, that's the situation out here. And today we're here to talk about the organic African paradigm. How much should we know about that?
Well, first, let me greet everybody the way we greet each other in the organic African paradigm, because it's important that I tell my intentions to anybody that I meet, my fellow Africans globally. I tell them my intentions, and this is something that we all greet each other with. And we've been trying to we decolonize ourselves and redevelop our way of thinking. So I will do the greeting. I think you've heard this greeting before, so let me begin. The one who comes in peace is always welcome. The one who comes to teach is always welcome. And the one who comes to learn is always welcome. So I greet you with my intention, and I just told you those are my three intentions right there. I come to learn, to teach, and I come in peace as well. So I want you to, that's the greeting right there.
Absolute. I know that greeting and I enjoy it anytime, even when we test, the first thing. And I begin to greet also like that. If, for me, anyone that calls me, I'm just obliged to say the one who comes in peace is always welcome. So actually, but what does that signify to open the discussion like that? Is it a form of, I don't know, is it in the concept or in the vision?
It is. It's actually the primary step of the organic African paradigm, that we Africans are coming from a subconscious place, a subconscious psychology, and we're entering a conscious psychology. So you must telling your fellow Africans your intentions is a sign of that I'm consciously engaging with you, that I'm aware of you, that I'm telling you you're important enough for me to tell you my intentions. So I come in peace. I come to teach and I come to learn from you. So those are the three things that, you can say, I come to heal. If you come to heal, if you come to do other things, you can tell them. But it's always good for us to engage each other in a conscious manner. So that's why that is. And also, the one who comes in peace is the ancient African, our ancestor Imhotep from 2600 BCE, before the Common Era. His name means the one who come in peace. He was the greatest mind of antiquity, the greatest African mind of antiquity. He lived about 7,000 plus years ago, or maybe 5,000 years ago.
Okay, and Imhotep means the one who comes in peace.
Yes, that's what it means. And then we follow up by the one who comes to teach and the one who comes to learn as well.
Okay, that is excellent because I know his theories and I know a little bit about him, but the meaning of his name, I never heard that. Why is it important? For instance, what is it if someone would not come in peace and would not come to teach and would not come to learn? If someone would come apart from these three in war, for instance.
Then I know that if you come in war, then I am prepared to deal with you in war. If you come in, hate, I am prepared to deal with you in hate. If you come in anything, any other dimension other than those three, I prepare myself to deal with you in those dimensions. So that's the significance for us Africans consciously engaging each other with this mentality.
Absolute. I find it really okay. Okay. Today, you want us to talk about establishing the psychological foundation of Africans globally. Now, what is the East situation that you said? Now it's time for us to kind of talk about the establishment. When you talk about establishment, it's like something that was taken away or that was not there or was restored or never had existed. How are we supposed to understand it and know where we're coming from?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. That's why I love coming to your show. You have the best questions. Thank you for that question. And I will have to give us a little bit of backstory, just so that we move forward and we understand why we need to establish a psychological foundation first before we do anything else. Um, so we all know, I believe the last time I was here, I did go over this, but I will go back to it. And we all know that Africans, according to modern science, that they're the oldest people on earth. They were the first people on earth. And now they established civilization before everybody else. They invented the writing and all the other sciences. Africans were the first to create those things. And I've read many accounts from Western scholars, other scholars, and African scholars, and the intelligence that the African people had 12,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, 25,000 years ago is unmatched. It hasn't been replicated in this day and age. No matter what we see here, it has not been replicated. And the reason it was lost, the reason this intelligence was, it was kind of dampened, not lost, but dampened. So the African people, we all heard about the old name for the African people were the Cushites or the Ethiopians.
Mhm.
This word, the Ethiopians or the Cushites, is a blanket word for all Africans globally. It's not a specific group. The rest of the identification did not happen until the Westerners came to Africa and they started calling you Bantu and so and etc. Nilo-Saharan, etc. But the original word for Africans is Ethiopian or Cushite, or Nubians, Kemetic people, or Egyptians, etc. That was the first word for the African people. So prior to Egypt, prior to Egypt, there was the Cushite people, or the Ethiopian people, the African people had established themselves. They had come out of the continent, out of the Congo and various regions, and collaborated with each other under one consciousness. And they had established technology, the greatest technology the world is still benefiting from today. They had developed it, they had experimented, they had developed the writings within that time span. They interacted, they built with each other. They had developed like this concept, this understanding of the universe, the understanding of the earth, the understanding of the animals, all the things, the interaction with the animals. The African people had done this within that time period while they were interacting with each other. And when they were finally ready, they manifested their civilization into what we call today Egypt, antiquity, all those tall and the Khufu pyramids and all those things, and Imhotep. That was the manifestation of the African intelligence. So the African people had came through all this, developed their intelligence, and then they had manifested it. But then when with great intelligence, with great wealth, comes enemies, comes envy, comes jealousy, and people, foreigners or non-Africans, were coming and they were seeing this civilization. And the African people, in their generosity, decided to educate and teach the world. And they had gone through their own, where Arabia is, they went into India, they went into North America, they went all over. The African people were doing these things. They had this intelligence that was so supreme and so great that they were doing so many great things. But their intention was so pure. The African was such a humble being that he went into the world to teach. He was a world builder. He was a civilization builder. You see, today we have the mindset of kings, but those people had the mindset of world building. They built a world, a civilization builders. So they went into the world and they educated other groups. But when you give someone power, knowledge is power. When you give someone power, that person eventually looks at your wealth, your household, and that person will come for you. And so they came for us. Some of them came as refugees, and we took them in, and we gave them shelter, and they stayed amongst us. And eventually they grew bold, and when they grew bold, they attacked. And they kept attacking and kept attacking and kept attacking over the centuries. And what happens in war? War creates refugees. War creates migration. So the African people begin a long migration inward into the continent. We began to retreat from our society, this great society we had established with the greatest intelligence that was ever created on earth, the world building intelligence, the architect of intelligence, the cosmic, the divine intelligence that the African people had. They were forced to come to the conclusion, do we continue building and keep creating enemies, or do we retreat into the continent and build modest abodes and be more modest and be more local, more less refined, smaller, build small things that it will not pique the interest of those people whose emptiness, they have this hollowness that it never fills. So the African people began to migrate inward into the continent. And then they spread across the Sahara into west, east, south, etc. But that did not stop the people, the greed, the lust for the African people's wealth, the African people's innovation, the African people's property. It did not stop. Even when the African people said we are just going to build huts instead of pyramids, it was not enough. They wanted the huts. They wanted the soil. They wanted everything that the African people were standing on, the clothes, the skin, the womb of the African man and woman. They wanted their genitalia. They wanted all of it because their hunger was so insatiable. And so we gave up the great intelligence. We decided that since we are having too many enemies because of this great intelligence, we will give it up. We will reduce it and we will create modest abodes. And even with that, we still could not find peace. Up to 2020, we are still not able to find peace even when we allow ourselves to be less than world builders. We settle for small titles like kings, and queens. Those are small titles. I'm talking about the world builder title, civilization builder title. You give it up and you went to king and to make yourself even to them. And they still wanted you. They still want your power. And you went lower to chief, to paramount chief, to town crier, and they still want what you have. So this is now a decision on the African people's part. Since we cannot be villagers and chiefs and town criers, and it's not going to satisfy you, and we cannot be peace builders, we are going to be world builders. We are going to go back to our great intelligence, since we give up our great intelligence so that we could stop your aggression, but you would not stop. So now we are going to take back that intelligence and we are going to build the world we want, and we are going to go to other planets and build great civilizations with our intelligence. And if you don't like it, this time we are not coming to teach, we are not coming in peace, and we are not coming to learn. We are coming to build. So I'm going to pause, and that's where the foundation, we need to go back to this. So when I say the psychological foundation, is to go back to that intelligence that we left behind when we thought we were negotiating, a compromise. This greed, okay, they want to kill, they want our land, they want our resources, they want everything. So we will give up our intelligence and be humble. And when we became humble, it was not enough. So that's why the organic African paradigm exists. It's going to take us back to the intelligence of the world builders.
At what point did they now, is it at the point that now slavery came into conception, when they retreated back after building all these civilizations? Because exactly this is the point that is missing on the history. And this is the point where people keep saying our history did not start with slave trade. So how did it come that we had to go through this phase, build the pyramids, create all this invention, all the mathematical symbols and signs and everything, and build, even coming up to trade, even in gold and diamonds and all those precious metals, when the world starts our history with slavery. Now, do we want to understand that by the time that we retreated, then they came out now for us?
Yes. So what happened is, during the BC era, before the Common Era, the Persian Empire, the rise of the Persian Empire, and the encroachment onto African soil. You got first Darius the Great and his encroachment into Africa, the Persian Empire encroachment. Then you have the Assyrian encroachment. Then you have the Hyksos and their encroachment. And you have the Greeks who came to study and learn from us. When we had taught them, eventually they decided they wanted more. And the Romans, who also learned from us, they decided they wanted more, and they came back. So you have this gradual period of us teaching people, and then people coming back with the sword. When we teach them, they come back with the sword. when we help them build civilizations and give them knowledge and civilize them, they come back with the sword. So the Vandals, the Romans, Greeks, all of them, those were all insurgents, invaders that were pushing the Africans, refugees, further into the continent. So within that period, like the Ghana Empire was settled in the 5th century. So the 5th century, that means that they were pushing these people lower and lower, and the Ghanaians were migrating from Egypt. They were migrating from Kemet and Nubia. They were migrating because of that, and they settled in that area. You see, and not just the Mandinka people, all of them. You have the Zulu, the San, all these people were migrating earlier into their regions because of what was happening. You know, when it's like a war, we migrated to America because, and now it's been many years, our children are born, you know, and we you know, that's what migration has done to us. But those migration was because each time we taught people, they came back to attack. And
there is there is also a perception, and I cannot disagree a lot, because right now, even in this point in time, we would have to figure out our own history, and to counteract the false history that was bestowed onto us. There is also a perception that without the architect and us being farmers by origin that knew how to farm, how to build these civilizations, they won't even take us into what we call slavery. Because when they cut us into slavery, it was to teach them how to build plantations and to build even their own civilization, something they never did, something they never had. And so it was not like they came and took, you have a situation like they came and took lazy people who were not doing anything. They wouldn't have done it. It's because they came, they discovered, and they saw what we had built, and they thought, oh no, these people now we have to get them to build our own. Now, coming back into the organic paradigm and establishing the psychological foundation of Africans globally. So, when is the time where you think now it is time for us to learn to know that no more teaching? Now we have to build the world, starting with us.
yes, so and I hear a lot of people talk about how Africa can move forward. I've heard so many different intelligent, brilliant people talk about how Africans can move forward, and they've been trying to get to this message about the psychological aspect of this moving forward. So I'm going to lay out how where we are in the paradigm of the African people and where we should be and where we need to go. So where we were, we gave that up. Our ancestors, you know, there is something I would like to first mention. You know, we live all of us are here in the year 2000 today, and we take it for granted, but the amount of Africans that are had to be born throughout the millennia, through like 4 million plus years of human beings, Africans being on Earth, right? The Earth been here for 4 billion years, but you know, they estimate 2 million years, but I would say 4 million years Africans have been here, because I like to always, when the Westerners say, oh, it's this, and when it comes to African history, I always like to say, you know what, it's more than meets the eye. So I always like to have that approach, is more than meets the eye. So the African people have been here for 4 million years. And that means that me and you are here today because of 4 million years worth of Africans. Okay, so we're standing on this stage in 2020 because 4 million years of Africans being born, raised, learning, absorbing, you know, doing on incredible things for us to get here today. And we take that for granted because the world we live in right now is covered by illusions. It's covered by distractions. And the last time I was on your show, I told you about the three keys to understanding this reality, which are the tools, the illusions, and the reality. The three keys of understanding. And that human beings, no matter what they think of themselves, there is always, reality will always supersede how you feel about yourself. Now, you can have a nice phone, you can have a Ferrari, right? But you go to the village, and if there's road, that road is not paved for your Ferrari, and if there's no reception for your cell phone, and there's no, laundry mat for your clothes, you enter the real world suddenly. When you come into the world of convenience, you might have a perception that you are superior based on the tools that you have at your disposal. And those tools can create an illusion in your psychology, right? So the African people currently, we had a great civilization and we lived in reality, and we decided to exist and teach and grow. But when we were forced to give that up, we retreated into the continent and we built modern civilization, but we still lived in reality. You see, we didn't invest in illusions. We never did. And but there are other groups who invest in illusions. They they see tools as liberation. They see the tools, the illusion that a tool creates. They see that as the ultimate power. But the African people see the spiritual nature of themselves as the ultimate power. That is the key difference between the other group of people. But their concept is that Africans don't know nothing because we prefer reality to illusions. And they have been steadily, gradually trying to drag us into a world of illusions. And they have been successful for the last 400 years. So I'm going to get back to where you say now. When they came to the continent, they had already been living in an illusion. They had plagiarized African culture. They plagiarized African culture. The Arabs did, the Europeans did, they plagiarized it, and then they created an illusion for themselves. And this illusion, they were drunk off this illusion, and they thought that they were so great. And they came into the continent, and then they saw we were living in reality. And to them, someone who's living in reality and someone who's living in an illusion, that is a dangerous recipe. It's a dangerous mix. So you have these people coming in here with this illusionary concept, this ego-minded, and they think tools makes them, mightier, right? And then they see African people surrounded by gold, wearing gold, but the African people are social. They are based on honor. They are based on interacting with each other. And they have a society where there's laws, there's rules, there's civilized interaction happening. But the illusion that has a hold of those other people and the reality they crash into each other. And then the illusion begins to penetrate the African society. And they begin to deceive the African people and pull them out of reality into an illusion. And you see this when the Portuguese first arrived in the Congo, and the missionaries, and they gave the Congolese king this illusion of this paradise, this great place where streets are paved with gold and whatnot. And he embraced it because he wants to save his position, his political thing. So he takes this illusion, and the elites takes this illusion, and boom. Now they start mapping out our psychology. They take they come in and they observe our psychology, how the illusion impacts us. Because it's so unnatural to us, it begins to destroy us immediately. We begin greed, lust, all these things begin to surge inside of us. And now they catalog all of that, and then they were able to gradually take our people, these able-bodied human beings, and they were able to bring them under force and penalty of death and suffering, and have them build their civilizations and have them work and elevate them, because they were able to infect the African people with illusions. And that is why they created colorism, racism, and all the various ism, because those things are meant to captivate the African. They're meant to hold the paradigm of the African and keep it a prisoner for as long as it takes until the end of time, until the last African is gone off the earth. They're meant to keep you in that illusion and is meant to destroy you. And the African people who were used to living in reality, who were used to only interacting with the spiritual world, now begin obsessing with the material world, the possession world. And thus, they did not just take, they say we took slaves. You know, it's an illusion. But you believe it because now you are dispositioned to the illusion. Your paradigm has a negative disposition. The illusion takes you. As soon as somebody presents an illusion to you, it's beautiful. You embrace it as an African. When somebody presents a reality to you, you reject it because why? You are now a prisoner in this. Racism, colorism, they are all illusions meant to keep you hostages, so that you don't become a world builder again, so that you don't know that you focus on slavery. Yes, slavery happening all across the world. The Romans were the worst enslavers of all. North America has nothing on the Romans. The Colosseums were built, the Greeks were slavers. The Romans were enslavers. The Persians were enslavers. The Arabs were even worse enslavers. They castrated 18,000 African men, and they were castrating African men and selling them into Asia. The African men were fighting in the Sultan Wars. African men were in Japan as eunuchs, in China as eunuchs, in South Korea as eunuchs, because they are castrating them. Boys, they came in there, took those boys, then from North and East Africa, and they were selling them all into Asia, castrating them, took them to Spain, the same thing, castrating them. This illusion, trapping the African man and the woman in this illusion, taking them out of reality, which is, what is your reality? You see those giant pyramids, those giant statues that your ancestors left for you? That is what your reality is. But they don't want you to see that. They don't want you to associate it with that. They want you to be associated with racism and slavery and colorism and all the other corruption and other silly stuff. And this is what our paradigm has become. So I'm going to pause so you can, I give you some breath.
Yes. It is like you shouldn't just even pause because but I understand that yes, you need to take a break, and of course, and we pick it from there. It is so interesting to understand and to give this vision out. We've been talking about a lot of great visions for Africa: the liberation of the African mind, the liberation of the African economy, the political situation on the continent, the leadership. And something is always telling us that something is not fitting. Never had we had a conversation where we look back and see, where is Africa's greatness? What is it that is a symbol of pride and consent? What is it that we can look behind and say, this is what our ancestors left, and this we can hang on like our strength? So to walk over, particularly this illusion that you said. And I'm loving this conversation because you just gave us a picture. The pyramid. Why is it that, for God's sake, we Africans don't identify? Of course, now we show it like some sort of even tourism. Look at even our mountains, the Serengeti, the parks, even the migration you're talking about. We have migration animals that exactly exist, and they're still going on migration today to show us the kind of nature that we were or that we are, or to remind us how we migrated as a people. Now, I'm loving this conversation and these lectures because we're going to spill it over to begin to tap into our strength and see where we can hang on and change our narrative. Are
Yes.
you down? Can you go on down?
Yes, I drank some water. I'm good. Let's go.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is in every African belief. All Africans believe in their ancestors before the Europeans came. All Africans believe in their ancestors. And they like to say Africans were idol worshippers and they believed in idol. No. Africans have always believed in one God, but because we are such a masterful people, and we produce language, and we produce art, and we are a fluid people. You know, and let me say this word here. I want you to your guests to take if you guys are listening, take a word, write this word down, okay?
Mhm.
Mind flow. So instead of mindset, your ancestors had mind flow, not mindset, mind flow. So mind flow is like a river. It's like the diversity of water, constantly flowing, constantly transforming, moving with rhythm. That's what mind flow is, right? And this mind flow allows you to create languages, culture, art, anything you desire, pyramids. It allows you to create literature because your mind is constantly flowing. It's soft like water, and everything penetrates it. It absorbs nature and all of that. So that's one of your strengths. Your strength is your great intelligence, right? You should not be having a mindset. You should be having a mind flow. So your ancestors had mind flow. And that is why you see such diversity in their artwork. If you compare today's artwork with your ancestors' artwork, Africans of today, you will never compare to your ancestors. Never. It's unless you change your set from a set to a flow. So your ancestors had this beliefs that we will help you if you remember us. You see, I mean, the creator, everybody knows who the creator is. The creator, and I will get into the creator, but let me start with the ancestors. Your ancestors go back as far as the beginning, the first man and woman to have children, to raise those children, up to Egypt, up to you. Those were your ancestors. All those people are your ancestors. They are all there standing behind you right now, sister, Dr. Tata, right now, behind you. You have billions of African ancestors standing behind you over your shoulder right now,
Mhm.
watching you, waiting for you to summon them, to ask for that energy that they have, their knowledge, to ask for their intelligence. You have that many people standing right there watching you, waiting. You know, they can't interfere with you, they can't force you to ask them. You have to get the courage and the mind flow to ask them. And when you summon them, when you acknowledge them and you realize what they did and you remember them, right?
Mhm.
You establish the umbilical cord that a child has with the mother. You see, when a child is in the womb, the most essential tool to that child's life is the umbilical cord. That umbilical cord determines that child's entire destiny. When it's connected to that woman, that mother, the child is safe and secure. It is so secure that when it comes into the world the first time, it starts screaming. And when they cut off the umbilical cord, the child is even furious, angry. Why? Why would you do this? Why would you bring me into this world and take me from that connection where the child can read the mother's thoughts? The mother, her cells are interacting, communicating with the child continuously. So the African people severed their umbilical cord with their ancestors. We don't have one ancestors from the Congo or this. We have all ancestors, generations. I mean, 4 million years. If you must use a year, I want you to say 4 million years worth of African ancestors. You have to connect your umbilical cord to all 4 million years worth of Africans. You can't just say, I'm going to connect to Thomas Sankara or what's his name, or the Patrice Lumumba or the recent ancestors. You can't do that. You have to connect back to 4 million years worth of ancestors, to the pharaohs, to the very minimal. You have to connect that umbilical cord back to every last one of them. And what will happen when you do this? They will stand over your shoulder. And the same way that child is in the womb getting that knowledge from his mom, that nutrients, that support, you establish that relationship with your ancestors and you begin to be experience that support. Your self-esteem rise, your disposition from illusion to reality changes. You see, You become past, present, and future in one. You exist in a continuous space. So our people, we made a mistake. We made a mistake. We venerated our immediate ancestors, the ones that we were, because we were attached to them, and we venerated them, and then we forgot about the other ones. And then what happened was foreigners came, and then they say, well, stop venerating your ancestors and venerate our ancestors. And now we suddenly are venerating their ancestors. So the umbilical cord I'm talking about to your ancestors is completely cut off. We don't acknowledge Egypt is ours, of the Pharaoh, Kemet, Nubia, the Cushite Empire. We don't acknowledge that we built India. We built Saudi Arabia. We built all the civilizations on earth. We don't acknowledge that. If you don't acknowledge it, how can your ancestors connect their umbilical cord to yours? How can a child in the womb tells his mom, hey, I don't want what you offer me through the umbilical cord? How can a child reject the umbilical cord while still in the womb? And make no mistake, you being on earth, you are in the womb of your mother, right? And the ancestors in the darkness, their umbilical cord connects to yours. And you can just say, I'm going to connect to, this is what Pan-Africans do. We like to quote. We like to do quotes. Okay, I'm going to quote this person. I'm going to quote this person and seem smart. But nobody cares about the quotes. Can you connect your umbilical cord back to those 4 million years worth of ancestors? You got some people who are only connected into Nkrumah. You hear them all day. Nkrumah, Patrice, yes. But I've never heard you talk about Imhotep. I've never talked about you talking about Ramesses or Khufu or any of the great Amin-Ra. I never hear you talk about Amun-Re or Osiris and all these other people. And even I've never heard you. You just talk about Thomas Sankara and you talk about Patrice Lumumba and Nkrumah. So you have only 4 or 5 ancestors standing behind you versus 4 million ancestors or billions of ancestors standing over your shoulder. You are only summoning few. Isn't that at your disadvantage? So
Yeah.
that is what I'm trying to let the African people know. All of us. It doesn't matter how many degrees you have, how many PhD or whatever you have. You must the umbilical cord must be connected to every single ancestor as far back as when the darkness took an African and put an African on the earth and said, here is my skin color, take my skin color and populate the earth and remember me. When the darkness did that. And I will talk about darkness in a second. What is darkness? But I want the African people, all of you out there, you great scholars, all of you with great political powers, and all of you out there, listen to me carefully. You will never transform Africa unless you connect your umbilical cord back to billions of ancestors. If you choose only 5 ancestors, are you going to be able how are you going to survive? They're not going to help you. This is in your culture. Every African culture, the Zulu culture, the Mongo people of Congo, the Daomi people of Benin, the Yoruba people, they all believe in ancestors. Mali, Liberia. I'm from Liberia. In Liberia, they venerate ancestors. Everywhere in Cameroon, ancestors. But you're not just supposed to venerate one generation of ancestors. All of them. That means you go backwards as far as time allows you, and you venerate every one of them. And guess what? They will give you a new disposition, a new paradigm. Each of them will give you a piece of their intelligence. So that's what I want to say as this generation who want change. We can't settle for a handful of ancestors that you can count with your fingers. You must go back to all of them. So I'm going to pause and let you, I want to drink water, but let you come in.
Yes. Manik, this is very interesting, and we have been looking for the missing link into, um, yes, I mean, if you look at how diverse we are, and now we even begin to limit it like, no, I'm from Cameroon, I'm from the Caribbean, I'm from Brazil, I'm from America. Isn't that even really a limitation? I mean, if you talk in terms of even our ancestors. And now I'm getting so confused when people ask me, which country do you come from? Honestly, I don't remember in the past 3 years how I would respond to this question to say I'm from Southern Cameroon, so I'm from Cameroon. It's so difficult for me that I keep saying I'm from Africa because, of course, I see the whole ancestors and even the whole space. And like somebody like, when are you going back to your own home? I say, hey, I have 55 of them. Now I'm just even confused. I don't know where to start from. So it's that kind of vastness that the African child has, that luxury. We're talking even about repatriation back. And people are still, even just our people out here, we're choosing, oh, I want to go to the Gambias. I want to go to, you have a vast continent. You can go anywhere you want to go. And it's even really going to be a matter of choice for the African children. And that's how rich and that's how expanded we are. I mean, I'm loving this because it gives us where to start from, what to hang on from, what to believe in, and what to see. This is, and what to talk about now. Over to you.
Okay, so now I'm
Yes,
going to I'm going to give you an explanation. I'm going to teach you about darkness, since what I want the African people to understand. I've been an avid reader. I've read a lot of literature, and I read a lot of fantasy. I read a lot of Western thing, and the concept of light and darkness, right? The Westerners have this belief, which was imposed on the Africans through colonization, that darkness represents evil, and light represents good. I mean, you've heard this, right, sister?
correct. All the
Yes.
time.
So it's in all the books, it's in our language. You go back home, people have this concept of light being good and darkness being evil. So I'm going to educate everybody and teach you what darkness is and what light is, so that you understand. So when you close your eyes right now, I'm going to close my eyes. You see darkness immediately, right?
Mhm.
When you eat food, when that food goes in your mouth, past your throat, it enters your body. Your entire immune system functions in total darkness. Inside the testicle, the sperm exists in darkness. When that food becomes liquid and that liquid becomes life, the atoms, the protein becomes life from that genetic material. That sperm lives in darkness. And that sperm, even when people are having relations, it's entire in darkness. The process happens in darkness. And the sperm travels to the egg in darkness. It enters the egg in darkness. The egg travels to the womb in darkness. The womb becomes water in darkness. The child lives in darkness for 9 months, but the mother knows the child is there. The umbilical cord is connected to the mother, and the child is taking all its substance from the mother. Their communication becomes one. Become one human being. And in that period, that child exists in darkness, but the mother knows that the child is there, and she knows the child is good. She knows the child is loved. She knows the child is beautiful. She's anxious to see the child. The only thing that's missing now is she wants to see the child and play with the child. But she knows the child is there in darkness. For 9 months, that child lives in darkness. And when the child finally enters the human dimension, the world of light, light flies in your eye. The child is blind, cannot see, cannot use his eyes. For the first few months, the child wakes up at night. It wakes up at night and sleeps during the day, right? And parents complain about this, but this is a phenomenon all across the globe. It doesn't matter. Everybody is the same thing for every human. The child just came from a dimension of darkness, and that child is trying to position itself into the dimension of light. So within that period, the child is going to, of course, it's like when you travel from America, go to Africa, you're going to have time zones. You know,
Mhm.
you're going to be awake at night and sleeping day. That's how it's going to work for your body until you adjust. And the child goes through this process, but parents don't know this and they complain, oh, this child don't sleep at night. No, the child comes from a world of darkness. And this is his first time in the light. It thinks that's his daytime, you know, and it thinks that's his, you know, daylight is his nighttime. And then the mom and the family will interact, and eventually the child will see the world, and then daylight will it will become more fascinating. Images will become more fascinating, curiosity, and the child will give up sleep and being in the dark and will come into the light. And now the child is in the light. The child can see the world, interact with his parents, etc. You're holding your finger. Can you see this? Can you play with this, etc. But this is the process from darkness to light. Now, life is created in darkness in the micro stage. In the smallest stage is created in darkness. The entire process for life happens in darkness until life is fully evolved, fully developed, fully adapted. Then life comes into the world. So how can darkness be evil? I ask you. How can you associate the process of life with darkness? The creator of life with darkness. How can you be so ignorant and trapped in an illusion? This is why I started out by saying there is reality, tools, and illusion. And they got the African people in the illusion. We are dispositioned to illusion. So now we think darkness is evil, making us evil, and light is good, making other people who resemble light, who identify with light, good. And now we hate ourselves. We try to change our skin color and we try to do all kinds of stuff. But here, let's go further back into darkness. The cosmos, the universe, is 85% darkness. There's only 15% light. And those are called suns and stars. Only 15%. And the universe is beyond comprehension of human scope. Darkness in its natural state is inertia. It's just a silent darkness, still, just restful. Then you have dark energy and dark matter. Dark energy is the vibration of darkness, when darkness is activating itself, moving. Then you have dark matter, when darkness interacts with matter to create the hydrogen gases and the oxygen gases and the helium gases and the carbon gases, right? Now, when you have the carbon gases and the hydrogen gases, then you have gravity. Gravity, this dark energy of gravity that nobody can see. But gravity takes all those gases and wrap them up into a ball and squishes them like a hand squishing a donut, like when you're baking a bread and you're squishing that bread into a ball. And gravity squishes those gases into a ball, and at the center of that ball, the pressure causes nuclear energy, heat. And the heat generates light. So I want you to know that light is not even the first expression of the universe. It's not even the universe. Light is actually the third or fourth expression of the universe. So light has a beginning point and an origin point. You cannot have light without an origin and an ending point. Light has a beginning and an ending point. If I go today and I take a blanket and put it over the sun, the entire planet will be in darkness. The entire planet will be in darkness if I do that. If I take that blanket back up, you will have light. If I take the sun away from the planet, everybody will be in darkness. So it is absolutely madness for an African to say that light is superior to darkness. It does not matter how much you're trapped in the illusion. Now, let's go on. Let's continue where the creator creates the gases, compress the suns, and then you have the sun explodes. And then all those elements that were created inside of a star, those elements are now compressed into more gases, and you have a planet. And then when you have a planet, now the heat, the heat from the heat from the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it generates life. It generates life. The heat from the planet generates life. So the creator's own energy, so the pressure from the creator's, the very essence of the creator, the heat from the creator, the very heat from the creator generates life on earth in darkness. Now, you will see human women, when they host a child in their womb, their body heat accumulates for the child. It protects the child. Their body temperature, the heat from the womb, woman gives the child, all mammals, etc., right? But birds, right, they have to sit on there and generate their heat into the egg for the egg to come into life,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have reptiles in the water. They have to come to land, and they have to take the heat from the creator and say, and for that life to happen. But it all happens in darkness. Reptiles bury their eggs in the sand. Darkness, the absence of light. Birds sit on their eggs to conceal the eggs in darkness. All creatures on this in this earth knows this, except the human beings know they don't know this, because we are under an illusionary concept, an illusionary paradigm. All life comes from darkness. And if you look at the mitochondria dream, the gene, they talk about the black woman has the mitochondria dream. All the races come from the black woman, right? The
Mm-hmm.
African woman. So you have all those dimensions of different things happening from one space in darkness, from one black genetic material. All these different colors are coming out of. You see, so if you were to create something today, right? If you were, let's say you are going to create something in your own image, you know,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what would that thing look like? 85% of that genetic material, what would it look like? It would look like you.
Yes.
It would be like you. So what I'm trying to say is that the African people have been bamboozled, or the illusion that we've been put under, that darkness is evil, and we have disconnected. We severed the umbilical cord. We took the umbilical cord from that and cut it. And when we cut it, now here we are today, lost, wandering, not knowing where to go. So if you look at the Sudanese, the darkest Africans, or the
Mm-hmm.
people in India, in the islands, in those hidden for islands, right? You see that melanin, that level of melanin is a representation. If you go out and you hold their hands up to the sky like this, what will you see? The sky will reflect on their hand. If you take your child and you put your child's around your next to your hand, what will you see? The same reflection of your child, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pause and let you absorb this information. I'm going to take a drink so you can, come in.
Yes, and I'll be opening up the lines. And this is quite interesting. That I don't know how you dear listeners are feeling out there, but I see some questions and some recommendations coming out. Tonight just said, darkness as absence of light has nothing to humans that are black. And Kobogo says, Brother Malik, he's telling us the truth. And Jumpster said, bottom of the ocean, and we're getting. Again, comments like from Kati. Kati says, wow, what a great explanation. Thanks, brother. Masho is saying, this is so amazing. This is so amazing. And the Pazo say, teach, brother Malik, teach. Baby E said, to be technically Ethiopian, what's the term that the Greeks call black people? They call the land of Kemet Egyptus, where Egypt comes from. The term Nubian appears around the 12th century. I think I cut it so short that it's difficult for us to really go. And Lawrence is saying we know our ancestors are millions, but we can't go back indefinitely. We can go back indefinitely. And Mosali Mansa said action speaks louder than words, that it's time for us to connect, of course, and go back to action. Jan Joseph said, I said that we need to go back. We need to go back. Jan, you all remember, is from Antigua, a brother from Antigua who also had a conversation with us. He said, we all said that we need to go back. And yes, Paza was just telling you, Brother Manik, that you keep saying that the first time I hear, I was talking about this, and Pazia said, now you remember that, Facebook took down all those conversations that we had before, so you need to bring us back on topic. Yes. And I can go on and go on. The comments are very interesting. Your brothers and sisters are watching. Vincent Warmington said, my brother, you are right, but our history goes back 65 millions. That reasons why they always telling us rubbish, because it's a long-term history. And Kathy say, I'm having a mind flow. So Africans, we learn today to say it's not a mindset, and that's why we keep saying, let us fix the mindset, because we know that we're stuck up in this mind. And George said, bro, you're too deep. You're too deep. Queen Irie, my queen, said, greetings, family, always on spot, always on spot. Yeah, while our brother is taking a short break out there, and is he back? Yes, okay. I'm just giving him the feedback of the comments out there and your great contribution. Um, Enoch meant to say it's good for we Africans to learn about our own history, of course. Global Green Book says, thank you, brother, for speaking intelligent. This is the type of knowledge I like to share with my channel. Global Green, of course, you can share it, you can upload it to your channel. If you have some recommendations, we look forward and even to have you. And yes, we really can go on. Papa Kofi said, this one is in Spanish. I really cannot go into this comment, but Yvonne is saying he is correct, and our existence on the planet goes back millions of years, millions of years. And Larry Babot said, as you join, share, I say happy to be on this platform from us to us. And yeah, I can't get some of the quotations. I'm very sorry, my dear viewers. I just see Mr. SNLO say, teach, brother. Max Meiser say, Africa, it's time to unite. Bring more teaching brothers and sisters on the platform. And yeah, Ndoko Kikala said, teach, brother. ALR says, humanity saves no one but oppressors. And yeah, I think we can go on and go on and go on.
Yeah,
Beautiful
yeah.
says greetings from Italy, and we salute all of you. I'm still going to pick up your comments and share when Manik wants to take a break, because the history is so big here, and it's not easy for him to. He has to take breaks, to get the energy intact, not to miss a point. But Jarava said, "Welcome, Organic Africa. The greetings tell it all. Thank you, our king and our queen." So over to you.
Okay. Thank you for that break. I appreciate that. So what I was trying to tell the African people is that when you step outside and you hold your skin to the sky, you see the resemblance. You see the reflection. When you are tired at night, when you are tired at night and you go to sleep, right? You lay in a bed, you and your family go into darkness. The people that you prize, your most prized, beloved people in the world. When you lay in a bed, you turn off the light, everybody sleeps in darkness. The whole planet sleeps in darkness. Every creature on earth sleeps in darkness. There's no even the bats, even if they sleep in the day, they sleep in a dark place to it, because what darkness does is darkness heals the body, it regenerates the body, because darkness is life, right? And this is what you have to understand, that it's a continuation. You have the universal darkness, and then you have the earthly darkness here in human form, internally and externally, which is the African, right?
Mhm.
So internally, you are darkness. Externally, as an African, you also are. You have you have darkness in your physical biology. And the hormone of darkness, the pineal gland, right, that
Mm-hmm.
produces melatonin in darkness, right? It light inhibits melatonin. And melatonin is what helps your body, you go to sleep, it helps your immune system, etc. And also, Africans have a baseline melanin, right? We produce more enzymes and more proteins, right? So your body was created deliberately with intention for you to live on this earth, with deliberate, careful attention to detail for you to be able to experience earth. The melanocytes that you have in your body protects you from UV radiation, because UV radiation damages the DNA. So your melanin absorbs the UV radiation and reduces mutation in your body. That's why you can get sick. That's why you can, your immune system is so strong. And that's why you were given a continent for you to do the and build civilizations. You were given this intelligence. I mean, you were given so much more than other people. And you choose illusions, illusionary tools. You choose it over all these other gifts that you were given. I mean, the audacity of the African people, the sheer ungratefulness for you to not even want to acknowledge these things consciously. You would rather live in an unconscious world, subconsciously, and navigate the world. When you are a world builder, when you are a world builder, civilization builder, that you could have created peace on earth, when if you took interest in the future, if you decided, I'm tired of this and I want to get out of the inertia, and I will give you lessons on how we can start being active, what steps we can take, how we can go forward. That's what this movement is about. I'm going to teach all of that, but I just want to remind the African people of who they are, where they come from. And it is, you cannot allow any form of negativity or destruction inside of your being. You cannot. You must acknowledge all the things that you've been given, and you must use those things and then do what you need to do. Biologically, you have all these disposition that makes you just, you have more than other people. You walk around saying black don't crack when you're 80 years old, no wrinkles on your face, your muscles are still strong. It's because of what you were supposed to do, your destiny on this earth. You sever the umbilical cord and you separate yourself from your destiny. But you have to go back. No, and all these Pan-Africans, these woke people, these people who, fellow Africans, I want you to understand, you cannot just talk about 2 or 3 ancestors and quote all day. And that's inertia. That is called inertia. It's called being powerless. It's not taking full advantage of the power of the universe that you are naturally dispositioned to. So let's talk about how else, like carbon, the 4th atom, the black atom, right? Carbon. After hydrogen, carbon is the most abundant after the other 3 primary atoms in the universe, and carbon is the most. And carbon-based molecules, like the carbohydrates, the lipids, and all these things, right? But why is carbon the black atom? Carbon is black because you have the sedimentary rocks like diamonds, not diamonds, or coal. Coal, right? Coal is made from carbon, and you have diamonds as well that are from carbon. And carbon is soft when it's in the melanin stage, and it's hard when it's in the diamond stage, right? And graphite is carbon, etc., right? But what I'm trying to tell you is that black has so much, darkness has so much, is a reminder everywhere on the earth. It's being shown to you. They're realities, but you're so caught up in racism, slavery, and what's the other one? Colorism, and these other stuff, that you don't know your greatness, that you don't know that these things, and you're made from the black atom, the carbon atom, and then you were able to produce other creatures after you were produced first. You were able to produce other beings out of your atoms, and you take that for granted. So I want, before I start giving like things for people to go by, I wanted this for you to absorb this. Don't just, and I know people like and comment and then they go back into inertia, right? What is inertia? Inertia is a state of powerlessness, right? Where somebody hears something, but they don't want to do anything. They're powerless. They try to exist in this state of, like abandonment, right? I will teach you about equilibrium. I want you to know about equilibrium. How can you out there, how can you change your life? How can you now start to navigate towards building the common destiny of the African people, the psychology? Now this is the organic African paradigm now. You're learning, you've been learning the organic African paradigm this entire time, right? Where we decolonize you from your self-hatred and we empower you with who you are. We empower you with this message, and now we give you the tools for you to go forward. There are three states of existence. You can exist in three states as a human being. You can exist in the control state, the abandoned state, or the release state. So I will teach you each of these states. And I hope you guys are taking notes. I hope all of you are taking notes. So
I have
the
mine.
control state is when you try to control something because you doubt, you have fear, you are stagnant. When you are stagnant, when you are a stagnant person, and when you begin to decay. So control, it's about doubt, fear, stagnation, and decay. And here is what control is. Let me give you what the meaning of control is. If you go to the Serengeti and you take an elephant, right? You see, if you watch an elephant, you go to the Serengeti, you sit in a bush and you watch an elephant. The elephant can do many things within its daytime. It will get up, it will go do this, eat grass, go to the watering hole, play with his kids, have family, play in the dust, do many things. There's unlimited possibilities of what that elephant can do if you go and watch the elephant in its natural environment. But when in your heart, you have control in your heart, you are going to covet that elephant. You're going to go there and take that elephant from the environment and put it in a cage. And when you put that elephant in a cage, you have controlled that elephant. You now control that elephant. And what will happen to that elephant is that elephant will begin to doubt that it's even an elephant. It will begin to doubt its memories. Did that even happen? Did I even used to go to the water hole? Was that even real? Are my ancestors even elephants? Have I always been in this cage? The doubt is going to occur within the soul of the elephant. And then fear is going to happen. The elephant is going to become fearful. So the people who feed it, the elephant can talk back. It can fight. It can kill because it can do anything because it can resist because the people, the zookeepers, will kill the elephant. So the elephant becomes afraid. Depression enters the soul of the elephant, and the elephant becomes stagnant. Every day it wake up, it look at the cage, it lay down, it sleep, it wake up. You see this when you go to the zoo. When you take your children to the zoo, you see these things happening right there in front of your eyes, but you don't notice it because you are not connected to your ancestors, to the reality. You're not connected to the darkness, the umbilical cord. Your umbilical cord is completely disconnected. So you wouldn't notice this. The elephant begins to decay from depression. Its immune system gets weak. It begins to die slowly. It abandons all hope of ever living in nature again. It forsakes its past. It neglects its body. No more exercise. And it becomes ignorant of who it was. And then it dies from depression, misery, self-destruction. It dies. So what I just told you are the state of existence: control and abandon. When you try to control the African doubt himself. When you expose him to illusions, he becomes afraid and he becomes stagnant because he doesn't want to read. He doesn't want to learn. He doesn't want to do anything. If you say this, he says, oh, no, I don't want to hear. I don't want to learn about them. They're idol worshippers. They're pagans. I don't want to know nothing about them. The African tells you this. And then he begins stagnant. He becomes stagnant. He tells you the same thing over and over. Any conversation you have with this African, he repeats the same thing over and over because he is now stagnant. And then he begins to decay. He becomes miserable. He becomes unhappy. He turns to alcohol, drink, and all those things because he's decaying slowly. He can no longer produce, no longer create, no longer generate. So he abandons who he was completely. And now the African has forsaken his ancestors, his role, his purpose, completely forsaken it. And he has neglected his own body. He starts to drink. He starts to smoke, do all kinds of stuff that are not good to his health, his mind, his psychology, corruption, greed, envy, all these things. He begins to do these things. And then he self-destruct. He now dies. So those are what is happening to the African people today. What I just told you that. And how can we get the African people out of this state of control and abandonment? We bring them back to the state that they were meant to be in, the mind flow state.
Mm-hmm.
The release. This state is called the release, right?
Mm-hmm.
This state, you must grow as an African. You must accept your destiny, your purpose. You must look back at your history, your past, and what your ancestors did, and you must not ever disrespect them. You must not ever in your arrogance speak ill of what they have accomplished for you to get here. That is growth. Growth, it means you must learn. You must learn everything under the sun. Don't be apprehensive or superstitious about learning. Learn. Learning does not mean education. Learning means understanding. Seek to understand. Seek to understand the ant. Seek to understand the stars, the sky, the universe, your fellow humans, yourself. Seek understanding of your biology, your internal nature, and all these different dimensions of self. Seek understanding in every facet of the word understanding. That is when you grow. And then when you have knowledge, you refine the knowledge. You continuously improve the knowledge, continuously develop and improve the knowledge. And this is how you are able to achieve pyramids. You are able to build pyramids. You are able to leave monuments that other people want, they covet. This is how you're able to develop civilization and build worlds, when you're constantly refining yourself. And then you recycle. You do it over again. You teach your children. You teach the next generation after the next generation after the next generation. You recycle. And you become unlimited. That means you and the creator, the umbilical cord, become one. So this is the state of equilibrium you can exist as an African. So all of you out there, the organic African paradigm teaches the African psychology to exist in the release state. No more fear, apprehension, doubt. No more stagnation. No more decay. No more forsaking. No more neglect. No more ignorance. No more self-destruction. Growth, refinement, recycle, unlimited. Be unlimited. That is the intelligence that your ancestors had, the mind flow that your ancestors had, and this is what you need. So When our brothers, I heard them talking about how we're going to change the continent. We are going to change the continent by being in the release state of equilibrium, by growth, refinement, recycling, and being unlimited. That is the paradigm, the foundation we must establish. This foundation, and the title of this lecture today is what? Developing the psychological foundation of the African. I just gave you the psychological foundation of the African just now. So I'm going to pause to drink water and you can come in.
Yes. Wow. And I'm also going to pause to drink water and you can make a call. You can make a call. I mean, Alexis says, I'm going to replay this video over and over because I don't have a pen. But let me just tell you one thing that Brother Manik is, I mean, I already read some of the comments that they're saying, this is what we have to keep jealously. But I'm telling you, I have been resisting not to bring him on the show. After we had the first encounter, you know, in those days where you know, and we've been thinking, what is the way forward to get this out, to reach out to us and to push it out in a way. What you are hearing is just an introduction of what we don't want to go into details. I saw Lawrence already asking what is radiation that he has to go. No, we're not going deep into anything here because the little that you already have been introduced to gives you already an overview. There are a lot of lectures, and I don't know whether he's at the 20th lectures right now. I left him when I was at the 10th. I was at the 10th because it was so mind-blowing and so strong. And even though he was also still doing a preparatory class with me each time. So what we are going to do is establish Brother Malik to teach leaders, to teach the visionaries of the continent. And it has to be a teaching that would teach the community. And it's not going to be an individual thing, because now that you hear it, for me, this is the first time I know him that I've accepted that, yes, this is the vision for the Africa that we want. Any other thing can come in. Political discussions and negotiations or whatever can come in like just something, and you know, like you have a pizza and you want to put all the spices on it. But what we are saying is the basis, the flour that we need is what the paradigm, organic African paradigm, is saying. It is either we adopt and believe it, like he said, go back to our origin to be the people that we are, or we live in the illusion that Africa is going to produce its own money and become the greatest nation and live in the same unrealistic world. And so we're going to go back, you know, we're going to stay in this civilization, what we call the civilization that has been fashioned and given to us. And we would even stop existing because we will not build, which is our existence. And we've always been saying the Black was created to teach, to even heal the world, to teach people how to live, to exist, to eat organic, to teach love, to live with one another in peace and harmony. Everything that the teachers just do the opposite, which we already know. I also have a lot of people that I've met in this organic paradigm, but that are Caucasians people that have really openly confessed to me and said, you African people are here to teach us what life is and to teach us what we've lost, love. But do we believe it? And now we are hearing it. What is our responsibility and why were we created? Brother Manik, I'm just broken you over so you can catch a breath before I give you over. Yeah, but before I give you, you want me to pick this call or you want to continue?
Yeah, go ahead. Bring in the calls. Bring in the calls.
All right. Okay. Hello. Hello. Yes. Good evening. Good evening, Papa Kofi. I'm sure this is the happiest day of your life.
as you know, because it's an project which we must push on so that we can encourage ourselves for this kind of, obvious stories which they teach us. So as now we know the story, we must to blow out so that each and everyone will hear what is going on.
Yes.
We will not give up. You know, I want to point this way. You know that this North Africa, within this, there is no Arabs over there. This kind of Egyptians, or all of them come from this kind of which is Middle East. Because of the fighting, they can see, whereas they are Arab, they see how what they do, our ancestors do over there in Egypt. They come to be how they call Arab, Spanish say codiciosos. I forgot in the English name. So they feel this way and they start to fight with them. So I say our people don't want to fight. They want peace. They leave the place for them and they come down. Now they establish themselves for them. They say they are Africans. They claim as Africans, and they are not Africans. They are from this kind of Arab land. You know. So right now, anything, they are not from Africa. They are from this kind of Arabians. We saw them from the book. Even they have some name for we blacks. I forgot to say. I'm trying to find it here, but I couldn't get it. You know, you see, olden days, Jericho is an old city for the world. Jericho, you know what I mean? And Jericho is in Africa. It's not in Europe. Well, when they talk about what they say, old war is Europe and the new Africa is a third world. So as now we know the story, we must blow out so that our people were conscious. They were conscious themselves to know that we are not inferior. Yeah, all the things we say we sleep. Now we open our eyes. So we start to pursue them until we conquer them. So this is my contribution for today, my senior sister.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Papa Manik, Papa Kofi. Thank you so very much. I'm picking up this other call again, Brother Manik. Yes, so you can have enough time.
Go ahead.
Relax. Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Susie. How are you doing?
Fine, brother. I'm sorry for yesterday, but today you're on.
It's all right. I know that. Okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yes. In fact, I'm so glad for this brother Mitree
Manik. Brother Manik. That's how he wants to be called. Brother Manik. Yes.
Brother Manik. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if I use the word I'm in love with you. I'm not mean by with the intimidation. Intimidate way, but I'm talking. The simple is about your knowledge. You know, the word that you spit it out for us is awesome. In fact, as I'm listening, I wish I can pray it in my city, in Ghana, somewhere in the city, for people to just watch, surround and watch in a breadboard. I tell you, so that our people can wake up. So many. I mean, I like where you're saying that when you're trying to tell our people something, because they've been in a cage for a long time, they say, oh, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Please, don't tell me nothing. I don't want to know. And then they walk away. They will not even have any time whatsoever to learn anything new because their mind, the brain is being captivated. Full stop. It will take long. I don't know what will happen for them to change their mentality. You see?
Going back.
I just love. I hope you come again and again and again and
again. Of course, it's a permanent lectures.
That's right. And then also, I want you to please, when you come back again, if you can give us a bit more explanation about our African women. You see, we want to know more about the African women, but we know that they are superior. But we like you to bring us some a bit explanation about African woman, what she carries, so that the way people look at African women to be something that is something small, something that is not to bring home, kind of. But
Yeah.
please give us some more explanation so that it can enlighten and empower our African women, especially those that come in that don't know the identity.
Okay.
The power which they carry.
All right.
So thank you very much. In other words, can we get any information from you? You have a video or some website?
I would share that. I would share that.
Okay.
Yes. I just want to pick the other call before he drops. We will share that before the end of the show. Yes. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, my sister. How are you?
Fine. Long time.
A long time, my sister. I've been busy these days, but I always watch you though. I've never the program.
I know.
For that one, I've never missed the program. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much to our brother. The brother is really deep. He's really deep in knowledge. And as the previous caller said, I wish every African will listen to this program, because we have been really disconnected from ourselves, our spiritual self. You know, he said something about darkness, and then it just brings my mind to in Ghana, the Akan language. To be honest, we've really disconnected from our real self, because in Ghana, the Akan language, they say something, I would just say it in Chi. Anajo. Anajo simple means like it's like midnight. When it's so dark, midnight, it means peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they greet each other, which simple means it represents peace. So in Akan, the darkness represents peace. It brings peace to us. But all these things, we just say it, we don't even know the meaning. And as he said, because we disconnected from our real self, if you talk to somebody, they don't even want to listen to you. And I was thinking about something he said also, that we shouldn't be defining ourselves based on racism, color, and all those. We're greater than that. We are greater than racism. We are greater than all the stuff that the world or the illusion that they put us in.
Mm-hmm.
We are greater than that. And I think it's about time Africans we overcome that so-called racism that they try to put us in, so that we be mourning and then crying all the time, waiting for whoever, which they don't even have the power to do it for us. So, my brother, we really thank you for the knowledge, and I just wish every African will listen to your deep knowledge about our disconnection between ourselves and our reality, rather than this illusion that the world has put us in. Thank you very much, brother, and I thank you, Dr. Susan. You're doing a great job for Mother Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Before I give back the audience or the line to Brother Manik, I want to remind us of the fact that when we find one, we want to preserve it. And because why I think like some of the things that Brother Manik has just exposed to us is a very deep concept that he would not actually like to put everything on the platform, which we know. But he's working on a teaching format to teach leaders of groups and leaders of communities, leaders of organization. The same purpose why we want to get to the leaders is because they have the followers and the organization. So it means it's going to be difficult for him to teach one-on-one. And so we are starting a group for Manik and the organic paradigm. And please, I'm going to put all the visionaries. If you know, it doesn't matter who is an influential in your community and you think they need these lectures, but please, like I said, it is not lectures for you, of course, for us, but the impact of the African organic is, the paradigm is, the more you teach, the more you learn it and you want to teach, so you become already a beneficiary. So it is better he starts teaching from group or multiplicators, and then they become the multiplicators. And so each one at the end of the day will become a multiplicator. And so whether you're just learning to teach or learning for yourself, you multiply. If you can help us get to that beginning, then I think we would be going so much further. Exactly like you were saying, I hope you were standing at the squares in Kumasi and just giving these lectures like in the church. I hope you were doing this, but we already know that because we're still in the control stage, it is difficult for him to act like that because in the cage, what is happening, we don't want to hear anything. Like he gave the example of the elephant captured under control, and in the zoo, he doesn't want to hear anything. So right now we are at that stage that we left our own origins, came, and now we don't want to hear anything. It's not because of arrogance. It's just because we've been taken, we're under control. So the fear and the losing and not in our own self doesn't give us the opportunity to listen and to learn. Even if one of us, imagine if another elephant will be at that zoo telling the other elephant, he won't hear because all of them are not in their space. So I'm saying it because I've been a student of Manik. Brother Manik started with me and said, you have to get the lessons. When we started teaching on the platform, you can elaborate things that I can really say openly, or I wouldn't want to say it. So I'm telling you to help us. You have our contact number out there. If you want to reach us on email, you put panafricandailytv@gmail.com. It's so simple, panafricandailytv@gmail.com. Or you reach us on our WhatsApp number that is always permanently scrolling on the bar. We want to get out to all the Africans worldwide on this organic paradigm because we know that is the basic, that is the plan that we need to put on every other thing about investment, about corrupt politician, about empowering our women, about education and everything. Everything is just an added value on this organic African paradigm is the basis. If we don't go back into our reality, we continue to live in the illusion and we cannot function. And we keep saying, are we under a curse? What is it that is just with us? But we were adopted and maimed and put and incarcerated. We cannot function. We lose our mind. And now we start harming ourselves and learning self-hate and hating each other and the inability. We have to go back and be who we are. And Brother Manik is going to be here permanently, just like the other slot. But like I said, it is just to always give us an overview, not the details. The details is too much for us to even carry. Sometimes when I finish with him and I'm having headache, honestly, because he has to give us just the little bit that he can give us so that we can comprehend. Because it's too much of knowledge inside there, too much. But one thing that I'm so happy and I'm impressed is that he put everything together before we finally said, okay, let us start it today. Now you have a little bit of it. If you know that you already know a little bit of what he's just told you, if you can sit in that gathering, be it at your workplace, be it in the bars, be it in any place that you can, be an influencer. You don't need to give up much. Just talk about the organic African paradigm and just tell we are in captivity and we know it. We need to go back. Going back doesn't mean we must go back to the continent. We have to hear us upstairs. And when we are there, then we can begin to talk about every other thing would flow. I hope I could give it the way you would want me say it, Brother Manik, or the way you taught me. I hope I'm a student that I could give out what I know that is right now. But over to you. I know it's still going to come in a lot of classes. You also talked about darkness, like they're talking about women. You even had you had lectures on nature, on everything. It's just a whole cosmos of everything that we left, and that has been given back to him, and to bring it back to us. So, Brother Manik, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sister. I appreciate that break. Thank you for that. And the callers, I appreciate them. Thank them for calling in. So I want to touch on what the brother said. One of the brothers said about the African women, telling him about the African women. Um, it is extremely important that we Africans know this. And I'm going to there was a incident that happened in Africa where somebody was burned, because they accused them of being a witch. So I'm
Yeah.
going to talk on that as well. But let me just talk about what the brother said about the African women. 50% of mind flow, 50%. I will actually say 52% of mind flow is the African woman. 52% of mind flow is the African woman. I would even give them higher percent, but I'm not going to do that now, you know. But I'm saying 52% of the mind, the psychology, the intellect of the African continent is in the African women. It is actually a crime for the African people to underdevelop their women. It is actually, you are committing a crime against your ancestors and the universe itself for you to even strike a woman, harm her, commit violence, sexual violence against her, traffic her as an African man. For you to do this, it is a curse upon you for you to do something like this. Your soul can never grow for you to try to deliberately, intentionally, maliciously harm an African woman and try to oppress her. You self-destruct. You automatically go past all the stages I just named and go straight to self-destruction when you do that. You enter the lowest stage of human existence when you harm an African woman through sexual violence or physical violence whatsoever, or try to oppress her and keep her from contributing, building civilizations. The womb, the power of the womb, this planet is a womb. This entire planet is a womb. Life is being produced in this planet every millisecond, infinitesimal seconds of the clock. Life is being produced. And to the extent which the woman, the female, have to go through to bring life onto this earth, to perpetuate life for millions and millions of years. And you, an African, so small in your mind, your concept, at the lowest bottom, to oppress her, to try to control, imprison, and prevent her from achieving greatness, from building the planet, civilizations on different planets, that her intellect could be the catalyst for building worlds. For you to have that audacity to do something like that, you are at the lowest point of ignorance, not even your near self-destruction. So all the traffickers out there who traffic women, black men out there who traffic African women, all the rapists, your soul, if there is hope for you, you must part with those kind of mindset, part with those behavior, oppression, discrimination against the African women, insulting her, trying to belittle her because her skin is not light. For you to do something like that, you are challenging the entire cosmos, 85% of the darkness in the universe. You are putting your hands up and challenging it. And for you to do that, you put a curse on the entire African generations. So I would advise all of you out there, do not in any way, shape, or form oppress an African woman. Let her develop her intelligence, let her wield power, let her build her civilization, let her do whatever it takes to get her people to the next stage. So I'm advising all the African men out there right now, if you want to learn from me, if you want to be an organic African paradigm, you must rid yourself of that inorganic African paradigm. There is no patriarchal system here. There's no patriarchal deity where you're going to say, oh, my God is just a male, is just a man. No. You must relinquish that mindset that the female, the African woman is the womb of the planet Earth. I would advise you, all you traffickers, in Africa, on the continent, all of you, turn away from that. You can make money in a much better way. You can build civilizations. You can take planets. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. The Africans are supposed to be the people who build civilization on there. You, an African man sitting there, you are a world builder. Don't settle for being a king. You're not just a king, you're a world builder. And she's not just a queen, she's a world builder as well. A world creator, actually. She's the birth of the world. So stay away from that paradigm, because that is the nearest paradigm to destruction when you do that. When you try to demonize her, destroy her self-esteem, financially, whatever means, abuse, rape, all of you men who are doing this, get away from that mindset completely. And I will tell you how you can get away from that mindset as an African man. The African man, all human beings have two souls. You have two stomachs, not two souls, two stomachs. So you have two stomachs. You have your physical body, your physical stomach, which consumes matter, energy. When you eat a bread or soup or whatever, it turns into stomach and it gives you energy, and you're able to manifest that energy. But your soul also has a stomach, because the African man has been controlled for such a long period of time. The African man has gone through doubt, fear, stagnation, decay, forsake, neglect, ignorance, and self-destruction. The African man has gone through those processes. But I have come to release you from that burden, from that cage. You have a great destiny ahead of you as an African man. You have a warrior nature that you were meant to protect and develop. And you are meant to lead the way and take care of the dangers on the path. That is your job. You cannot be the danger on the path when you are supposed to protect the path ahead. You're supposed to walk ahead. There is all of you young, old, young African boys, man, at whatever age you are, old, 90, that is your role in this universe. That is your role, to lead the path, to protect, clear the path of danger. You've seen the woman is walking down the path. You are up ahead, clearing the path of all the thorns, the danger. That is your role. If you reject that role, you live in the abandon and control stage. If you embrace it, you live in the release stage. There is no compromise. That is it. So that's what I wanted to tell on that brother's comment. But let me talk about this issue of Africans burning other Africans, because, again, we are in that control state. There is an illusion controlling those people who burned, that who accuse you of witchcraft, and they burned you. They're in an illusion. This illusion is being controlled by a small book or a concept, a minor concept, right? And they are living in the state of doubt and fear and decay. Their souls are decaying as African people. And then they abandon their umbilical cord. The umbilical cord has been disconnected. So you're doing these acts. This is not who you are meant to be. There is no such thing as witches. That's a Western concept. What the Westerners don't understand, they label. When they don't understand something, they label. They create illusions and they label that thing. But the African does not do that. The African lives in reality. What the African doesn't understand, he learns about. That's why you have so many Africans writing books about racism, colorism, Pan-Africanism. They are writing books uncountable, because the African, when he doesn't understand, when he doesn't understand something, he learns about it and try to give you information like I'm doing. So What I want is before the end of this year, December, I want 4,000 Africans to be decolonized to the organic African paradigm. 4,000. That's a large number.
We're going to give you 5,000.
Yes. Thank you. If you can give me 5,000 African with this paradigm, every word I just said, this is a paradigm I'm giving you. I should have, this is, you normally you have to listen to the lecture to learn these things, but because of our sister, because of the work she does and her contribution, I am giving the lecture here instead of actually waiting for it. I actually decided to just teach you everybody here. And I know we've been at this, we are out of time, but I want you all to know this. All you've been looking for, the money, you've been talking about how you're going to the China, the this and that, all these group of people. When you embrace the organic African paradigm, you will be fit. The African man will be ahead of the path. The African woman will be developing the arsenal, the things that we need. The African woman will be innovating, and the African man will be on the battlefront. The African woman will be the general, the battle planner, and the African man will be the warrior. And this is it. There is no other way around it. Get out of all your other paradigms. Throw them away. We have destiny waiting for us. We have a purpose. It is not money, it's not our purpose. Our purpose is greater. We are world builders. Don't settle for being a king when you are a world builder. And this is not my knowledge. This is your ancestors telling you this. They were world builders. So if you don't take my word for it, take their word for it. Take their pyramids, take their mummies and their artifacts that are still in the museums. There is millions of African ancestors' bodies are in the museums. And people are making money off of them because the African man is trapped in an illusion. And I offer you the chance as an African man, come out of the illusion and take back your world building power. Connect your umbilical cord. Remove fear. Remove doubt, apprehension, decay, stagnation, forsaking. Never forsake. Never neglect. Never be ignorant. Never self-destruct. When your job is to build entire civilizations, to colonize this whole, not colonize, but to populate this whole galaxy. That's your destiny. Why would you settle for trinkets, illusions, tools, when you have reality? When it's on your skin, go outside and stand and hold your arm to the universe at night and ask who I am and look at your hand. Do it. Close your eyes. And then look at the Senegalese, the Sudanese. All these trivial things. Destiny is waiting for you. Give up the trinkets. Give up the triviality, the pettiness. Stop self-destructing and expand. Be expansive. Mind flow. Your mind should be like the entire ocean, like the cosmic hydrogen and oxygen ballet that's happening in the stars. That is your mind. Your mind was created inside of a star. You have a nuclear intelligence, the greatest ever. Why would you settle for trinkets? All you need to do is live in the release state. So that would be my closing, because we have been at this for, so let's close with that,
All right, let's close with that, but let's make a date and we give a slot for it, because it's really interesting for us to know that we want to proceed, we want to move ahead, and moving ahead means are we keeping you on the permanent slot of Thursday, or do you want us to look at it and we we make it a date. I mean, for me, it's simple and it's more easier and more practical to know if there's one Thursday that you won't make it. Of course, we can always shift it on. But if we know that you're on a permanent date of Thursday, that would make things even easier for our audience to just know now and not wait for Susan to share share something. So yes.
No, I apologize for this. I can't do Thursday. And the reason is it's just because my schedule and because of the time constraint for me, it won't be possible. And but what I can do is I can do every chance, every now and then I get, I can do it. What I want is I want us to get the 4,000 numbers first. You
Okay.
know, let's if we can get those numbers, and I want all those 4,000 people um this and once we get this paradigm and they learn this, they will be teaching on this show. They will come here and they will be teaching this knowledge on this show. And they will, you will rotate. You'll have people come and teaching and expanding and branching off this psychology, like promoting this psychology. But it's I would come once in a while, just because I want your audience with the day I come, right? I
Yes.
want to bombard them with so much, you know, I want to bombard them with so much that when they get it, they're just overwhelmed by it, like their minds are just blown by it. Because if I come every time, what they're going to do is they're going to take it for granted, and the information will now just be and talk
Just
and
another
this and that.
show.
Yes, and
Okay.
yeah.
I hear you. I hear you, and I understand that. But of course, we would need to have you at least twice in a month to get to energize that. But that one we can do after when you have your program. That would be very fine. So I want to thank you so very much, Brother Manik, for this session and for unveiling the biggest plan that is the basic for us to put on the Rapid Africa plan, the 55 state plan and all that. That one is still living coming on. But this as a basic of where we need to start, and every other thing is just going to be particles of it. So I want to thank you for being here. And yes, we see us again anytime soon. I will communicate that. And like I said, we'll be starting up a group and a platform, and anyone that wants to can be in that group. Please, we will share the link so you can enter the organic. It's going to be called DTV Organic Paradigm, African Paradigm. Sorry. Yeah. So thank you so very much, brother, and good night and stay safe. And we keep in touch.
Thank you.
Yeah. And good. Going back to you, audience, I want to thank you so very much for your wonderful comments and even for your donation today. That's a great step, because I didn't even remind you about the donations, but you just know what to do. And for those that are new, we are currently raising a fund for our satellite TV channel, and we're thinking that we're growing tremendously and we're doing an incredible job. There's just no way for us to stay streaming, but to own a channel, even at the smallest unit. Yes, and one other thing, please like and click the like. And I already saw our our volunteers out there in the chat reminding us to give the thumb ups and the likes. And please do not forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. Remember our target of 1,000 subscribers every week, and believe me, we are getting up to it. We're just in the third week, and we already we have, I mean, no, we're getting in the third week, but we have 3,000. I think by the time I came here was 3,070. And so we need 30,000 to round it to 4,000. And we'll be in the third week getting 4,000. And that's what I was telling our brother Manik. We can give him 5,000. That is just nothing. We are up to it, because all of us that are watching the Pan-African Daily TV, we have a lot of recommendations that people are telling us how we can grow faster. Or you have to invite this YouTuber. He has more than 1 million followers. You can invite this and this. And believe me, honestly, we're growing at the organic African paradigm. It's not just getting a million, it's just really getting us to understand the lectures and educate ourselves. I've learned also a lot, even though I've listened to these lectures time and time ago, and I said I have to share it with you. But we are learning, and we're learning at a very qualitative manner in which 2 hours, 2 hours 10 questions and interaction, that's the best thing that we can offer ourselves now. But the one thing that I see, we're growing up, and people, even those that don't meet up with the show because of time constraint, they come like our brothers in the Caribbean or out there. They would have to close work now at 2 o'clock or 3, and they will go through the videos and give their reviews and the interaction. It is awesome. It is great. Each time we get these commentaries, even the shows that people miss, or some people just say, you know, I couldn't because of work and I had to leave the show, but now I'm watching the full video, and they start calling and asking questions that they couldn't meet up. That is the spirit of the organic African paradigm. And this is just what I wanted to share with you. This lectures Manik is telling us is exactly what you're doing. Unconsciously, but you're already there. We have permanent, all of you that are always here. I know you by names. I know you by family, by heart, by blood, by everything. And it's like we were there and we are here. And this is already the 4,000 that I was telling him that we're giving it to him this week. And next week, we're going to give him 5,000. And it's enormous, enormous what we can do. 5,000, give it to 5,000, give it to 5,000, give it to 5,000. I can guarantee you that there is no doubt, you that are watching me now, that we are restoring our liberty and our freedom and our unity. There is no illusion again in our mind that the disconnection through our 400 years was just an illusion. We are connected. We love ourselves. We adore each other, and we are stronger than we believe. Today is another testimonial or another fact, and another fact that you can go home today and sleep, relax. If there was some doubt that you still thought, are we going to make it? Is this just another talk? Is this just another YouTube streamer or a blogger or somebody that just want to read, follow us? Now you are certain that we are the called and the chosen, and we are about to start this liberation, and the healing has just started. Now, it is our duty now to continue now to spread it, like he said. When we free one, one free one, one free one. We're not just gonna, like we say, repatriate all of us, but all of us are gonna get back psychologically stable. And now we are certain that the Africa we want is sure and near. I want to thank you so very much. In leaving you on this note, we're meeting our political analyst and the straight talker. He doesn't roll his talk. He's just going to give it to us the way we want it. But I'm happy we already had these lectures with Manik today. So we're not going to agitate, because already every other lecture that we're going to be hearing from the Pan-African Daily TV is going to be a basic that will settle on the organic African paradigm. So we have no fear anymore. We're not going to live in our trauma. We're not going to live in doubt. We're going to be certain that we know what we are learning now, and we'll be ready to listen. So I want to thank you so very much. Rutendo is going to be here tomorrow. That's just what I wanted to tell us. And Saturday, we're going to get a 3-pack. I don't really know, but Sunday, we're going to celebrate Dr. Arika Nashikomborikwa, like I said. And next week, we'll look forward to another moving section. Yes, let us hit the button, click the subscribe, and get the 4,000 this week. Thank you so very much. All the blessings out there. Remember your umbilical cord, And remember, there are 4 billion, he said, ancestors watching over you and your generation. Do not be afraid. Not be afraid. They're all with you. Good night and stay safe. We see ourselves tomorrow. Bye-bye.